Hey everybody, Craig Tomanini here, founder and CEO of Ask Craig T and the host of the Ask Craig T podcast show. And I'm excited that you're here. It's Friday, it's 9 o'clock Mountain Standard Time. Real quick before we get into our topic today, I want to mention our sponsor for this video, P3 Cyber. You can find them at p3cyber.net, and they are our partners when it comes to everything security. So if you are looking for better enhanced cybersecurity, incident management, preparedness, and preparation, they are the source to go to. Want to quickly remind you, if you haven't already done so, please like and follow us on our Ask Craig T Facebook business page, and also become a subscriber on our Ask Craig T YouTube channel. Smash the bell so you get notifications when our new videos come out so you don't miss any of our content. And this week we are going to jump into a really, I would say very exciting, but exciting is the wrong word. It's a controversial, it's a, oh, I know what it is. It's vigilant. We need to be vigilant this week. We need to become more vigilant. And what we're going to talk about today is maybe a new term for you. It's called smishing, S-M-I-S-H-I-N-G. So it's the combination of two words. It's actually SMS, right? So when we have text messages, and this idea of phishing. Phishing is P-H-I-S-H-I-N-G. We'll put that up on the screen since I can't spell it either. But phishing attacks occur where something called social engineering happens. And you've probably been a victim of this already and not realized it. And we'll get into a couple of very specific examples of smishing scams. But maybe you've gotten a text message and you're like, where did this text message come from? What is this, job notification, thing that I got, or, somebody trying to, sell you something and there's a link there, or here's my favorite one. You just get this random text and it says, "Hi, Sarah, how are you?" Well, I'm clearly not Sarah. And so I know that that's a phishing attempt or a smishing attempt. But what does that all really mean? And what are some of the potential risks that are associated with that? So I want to educate you first and foremost, as we always do, on what these things are. So what is smishing? Smishing is a social engineering attack that uses fake mobile text messages to trick people into downloading malware. We'll get into that a little bit more, what malware is. Sharing sensitive information, or referred to a lot of times as PII, personal information, right? Personal individual information. And that information gets shared. And usually the idea is to allure out the ability to send money to a cyber criminal. That's who you're dealing with on the other end. The term smishing, like I said, is a combination of SMS, or short message service, and the technology behind text messages, and then a combination of phishing, which is like, as you would think, you're fishing, you're throwing the worm in the water, and you're hoping you pull something out. That's what these guys are literally doing. These people are actually trying to just throw the hook in the water with a little bit of bait and hoping that they catch the hook right here. And then they pull your wallet out of your pocket. So, it's a really popular forum, and make no mistake about it, this is a crime. It is a cyber crime. In fact, Proof Point's 2024 State of the Fish report, that's a real thing, by the way, 75% of organizations are experiencing smishing attacks. And that is a staggering number, because if you think about your business and what you're doing every day, these attacks can come through in so many different ways, whether it's text messaging or through email, and they look so good. These guys do such a good job at making it really tempting. You want to engage with it because it looks so real. And so, the idea of smishing or phishing came about because, pre-pandemic, most people in corporate jobs or in businesses, they were working in the office and they were able to be more vigilant. There were security teams there, but the thing that was really different is that your computer wasn't actually somewhere else outside of the corporate network. You were at an office, you were connected to a network that had some security protocols. And so it was less likely, not impossible, but less likely that you would be the victim of one of these attacks. But now, with the pandemic having happened, there's so many people working remotely and able to do things outside of that work environment, that there's this increase of what we call the BYOD, the bring your own device, and remote work. People using computers, mobile devices, and they're working on things like coffee shop networks. They're working in libraries. They're working in public places where the Wi-Fi that they're using is wide open to everybody else that's using it in the same context. So you have to become more vigilant and more aware and taking some of these measures in terms of how do you protect yourself when you're in those situations. So they're very similar to phishing attacks. Like I said, scammers use phony messages. They'll put in malicious links, to try to fool you into compromising your mobile phone. Like I said, sharing your personal information, your personal data, maybe even bank account information. Believe it or not, people are like, they will put in their account numbers and their routing numbers for their bank. Don't share this information with people, guys. The main difference, though, is the medium. In smishing attacks, scammers are using SMS, text messaging, or a messaging app to conduct their cybercrime rather than emails and phone calls like they used to do back in the good old days, right? Scammers would call you up and they had to get through all these walls of information and building trust with you. But now scammers choose smishing and these other types of attacks because mainly research shows, and we've talked about this on some marketing segments, that people are more likely to click a link in a text message and click through on those links. The click-through rates are higher because on a computer, you can actually hover over a link and you can see in the lower left-hand corner what that looks like. On a mobile device, it's a lot harder because you can't hover over that. Hover rates are between 8.9 and 14.5% by comparison on a mobile versus a laptop or a PC. And here's what's interesting. By comparison, emails still today have an average click rate of 2%. So if you're a scammer and you're trying to get a more effective click-through rate on your efforts to get these people's information, you're going to use something like SMS because it's approximately 7 to 12% more effective to do that than it is to use an email. So in addition, scammers can hide the origin of smishing messages by using tactics like you've probably seen. You get a phone call from a local phone number, so they spoof these local phone numbers, and the way they're doing that is they're using burner phones and they use software, and the software can also then send text messages throughout the network to your devices directly, and you look at it and you go, oh, this is a legitimate text message because it came from a cell phone, but it actually didn't. It's also harder to spot these links on cell phones, like I said, because you can't hover over them. So people are used to banks and brands, contacting them over the SMS and receiving shortened URLs in the text messages. Now scammers are using these same tactics, these shortened URLs that you can't really tell what's behind it. You would just suspect that that's actually good to go, but it's not. In fact, in 2020, the Federal Communications, the FCC, mandated that telecom companies adopt the stir-shaken protocol. And we probably do a separate segment on this, but stir-shaken protocols authenticates people's phone calls, and the reason why some mobile phones now display scam likely or spam likely when they call you. So there's been a movement within this space for, like, even here at Ask Craig T, we have a system that we use. You have to become compliant for these different protocols and these FCC mandates. So it's really important that you are getting educated on this particular thing, because it's one thing to know about it, but it's another thing to start to put into practice some of these things inside of your business and in your personal life. So what are some examples of phishing scam or smishing scams? Well, like other forms of social engineering, most types of smishing attacks rely on pretexting. So what does that mean? It involves using fake stories to manipulate victims through emotions and try to trick them into doing whatever it is that they want you to do. So it's very much an appeal to your emotions, right? So, if you're financially strapped, you might get a phone call or a text message that would pose as the victim's bank, alerting them to a problem with their account. Has this ever happened to you? I know I've gotten these messages before. A lot of times through fake notifications, the victim clicks the link, brings them to a fake website that looks just like the bank website, but because you don't look up at the top address, which you should do, the app then gets you to log in, steals your login information. It can get a PIN number if you're asked for it, your passwords and credentials. It might even ask for your a verification of your routing number or your account number. It might ask for credit card information, but these are the things that scammers are trying to do from a financial standpoint. According to the FTC, the Federal Trade Commission, bank impersonation is the most common text messages that are going out in scams today. accounting for about 10% of all smishing messages that are going out across the internet. You might see something like pretending to be a government agency or law enforcement. They might pretend to be police officers, IRS representatives, other government agency officials, unemployment, right? With the rise of unemployment the way that it is, most people that are on unemployment wouldn't even question the authenticity of a government employee calling about their benefits. An example was in April of 2024, so just a few months ago, the FBI issued a warning about a smishing scam targeting U.S. drivers. And what was happening was the scammers would send out a text message pretending to come from a toll collection agency and claiming that the target, the victim, you, owes unpaid road tolls, and the message would contain a link to a fake site that steals the victim's money information. It's like, go pay over here, and you put in your information, and they siphon that money right out of your credit card or your debit card or your bank and right into their account. And because you're authorizing it, it's technically legal because they are requesting the money, but it's under false pretenses. They are making you think that they're someone they're not. They might call you to be customer support, acting like a customer support agent at some trusted brand, like Amazon or Microsoft or Google. How many people get a Google phone call like once a week, right? They usually say that there's some problem with your account, or there's an unclaimed reward, or there's a refund, right? It's always tied around money, it seems like. Typically, these texts are sent to the victim, and it sends them to a fake website. It steals their credit card numbers or their banking information. Do you see a theme here, right? How these people work? They might pretend to be a shipper. I've gotten a bunch of these, whether it's FedEx or UPS or the USPS. These people, they'll call and say, hey, there was a problem delivering a package, and you need to pay a fee for delivery in order to free it up, or sign into their account to correct the issue, at which point they collect your information. These scams, they're big around the holidays, but they do happen all year round. If you're ever in question of those things, you should call those carriers directly on their official corporate website phone number and just say, hey, this happened. And they're really interested to know, because they want to know that there's people out there pretending to be them, ruining their business reputation. It could be a boss or a colleague. There's someone's pretending to be your boss or someone that you work with. Like I mentioned at the beginning, text compromise, like business email compromise, except, by SMS. Hackers pretend to be a boss or a coworker or a colleague, or maybe they're a vendor or an attorney, someone who works with that company. And, oh my gosh, I need your help with this urgent task. And usually the request is an immediate, I need it right away. And it's usually something around the person who's the victim sending money to the hackers. I know that in corporate America where I was at, we used to do a lot of work and training on how to spot these things, but not everybody has this information. That's why I'm sharing with you. So there are lots of other ones. I'll just kind of hit some highlights here. Pretending to text the wrong number, where it appears to be intended for someone other than the victim. I mentioned a version of that in the beginning. Pretending to be locked out of an account, right? They call up and you've seen these two-factor or multi-factor authentications now that almost everything has. And what happens is they'll try to trick you into sending them the verification code for logging into your system. Well, once you send a code like that, here's an example. So I could go to Google, right? I could go to Gmail, and I could try to log into, bobiscool@gmail.com. And that's not my email address, but the person who is at that email address is going to get a verification code, because I'm going to ask the system to send that. But then I'm going to contact Bob because I have a phone number or something. And I'm going to say, hey, Bob, I just sent a code to your phone for this, authentication. Can you give me the code? If Bob gives me that code, I now have access to be able to log into his Google account. And it's totally legit because Bob gave me the code. Don't give out your codes. These multi-factor authentication systems are in place to protect against this very thing. Pretending to offer free apps. I mean, this is a huge one. A lot of people, it's seemingly legitimate. The apps, for example, like file managers, digital payment apps like PayPal or Cash App or Venmo, they're using these systems to basically say that your account is locked. And in some cases, they do actually lock your account, and they say that they're not going to unlock it, and it's called ransomware, unless you actually pay them some money. And in this particular sense, they're telling you, I am a scammer, and I am going to take advantage of your account, and I'm going to charge you money in order to get access to it again. So just be really careful when it comes to managing the information that you have, especially your personal information. So I want to kind of wrap up and just give you some information about how you can fight against a smishing attack, to combat against those scams. The FCC actually adopted a new rule that requires wireless providers to block likely spam texts from suspicious members, including unused or invalid phone numbers. But no spam filter is perfect, so cyber criminals are always working on ways to get around those measures. Almost, it seems like daily. Individuals and organizations can take steps to strengthen their defense against smishing attacks by doing some of these things. Mobile cybersecurity solutions, Android and iOS specifically, have built-in protections and functions like blocking unapproved apps and filtering suspicious text to a spam folder. Don't bypass these things, guys. These are there for your protection. And at the organizational level, companies can use unified endpoint management. It's called UEM solutions, or fraud detection tools, or mobile security controls. If you want more help or more information about these things and how they work, please contact us here, because this is what we do at Ask IT. We can help you understand this technology as well. And like I mentioned, we are partnered with P3 Cybersecurity, and we have an amazing toolbox that we can just really share with you for your organization. And then, of course, security awareness training, right? Same thing. We focus a lot here on education, obviously. And so you can stop more scams by training yourself and your employees to recognize the warning signs of cyber attacks and smishing attempts, like unusual phone numbers, unknown senders, unexpected URLs, and heightened sense of urgency, right? Those things should be red flags for you. They should trigger you to just go, whoa, hold on a second. Is this really legitimate? Do I really want to engage in this? Most organizations use smishing simulations to help employees practice. Like I mentioned, my old company, for all of the things that I didn't like about the company, one of the things that they were really great at was these organizational exercises, if you will, to practice cybersecurity skills. Simulations like this are good for security teams to uncover vulnerabilities in computer systems and organizational policies, and things that expose the business to scams. So that's what I have. That was a lot in a very short period of time, but vigilance, right? How to avoid a social engineering attack on your business, on your personal life. There's so many things that we could continue to talk about here, but look, I'm going to put together a document for you that will be available in the description box below this video. So if you click on that, it is a free download. Just grab that white paper, read through it, understand all of the things that we talked about, and so much more that we couldn't cover today on this video. Become cybersecurity aware, become vigilant, become aware of the digital world and landscape that you are living within, whether you want to or not. I would remind you that we also here at Ask IT do a lot of classes in different education around many topics, but we have a class called Digital Discernment, How to Safely Navigate the Cyber World. And it's really a great class. It's short. And if you're local or you want to get a copy of a recording of that, comment below. Let me know that you want to check that out. And I will do what I can to get a copy of the class to you, or to get you the information on where you can attend the class next. Thank you for joining us on the Ask IT podcast show today. It's kind of a different topic, but we talk a lot about technology. But sometimes we have to go on the peripheral, and we have to talk about the outer edges of where technology touches. And security, cybersecurity, is such a huge topic. It's a big can of worms. Really wanted to peel back the layers today on a specific aspect of that cybersecurity, which is a new word, smishing. Put it up above my head right here, smishing, right here. Maybe it'll flash. So, hope you have a great day. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you again next Friday, 9 a.m. Mountain Standard Time, right here on the Ask Craig T podcast show. God bless.